Noko the Knight, written by Eleni Theodorou. Ah, Mama Africa, how you bless us with your warm summer sunsets that linger with the sweet scent of the Mpumalanga bushveld. It is at the end of this hot African day that all the creatures of the night come out to play. One of these curious creatures is little Noko, a young crested porcupine with a big heart and even bigger dreams. As soon as the sun started to disappear behind the beautiful Drakensberg Mountains, Noko scurried out of the family burrow to go meet up with his friends at Nature's Night School. Mbadudu the art wolf, Kalobe the warthog, Nkwe the leopard cub, and Inyoka the young African rock python, all of whom are always happy to see him. Suddenly, Noko was called back into their family burrow by his parents, who were eagerly waiting to tell him some exciting news. Noko dropped his furry little head and reluctantly turned around, wandering lazily back home. Upon his entrance into the burrow, Mr. and Mrs. Porcupine stood side by side, brimming with pride, as they gleefully announced that Noko was soon to become a big brother. Noko, who for so long was the only baby in the family, stood in front of his thrilled parents in shock. "Big brother? What do you mean I'm going to be a big brother? I am the baby of this family and it's going to stay that way," he cried out. Before his prickly parents could say another word, Noko spun around on his little paws and dashed out the burrow into the darkness of the bushveld. Whilst meandering around restlessly in the darkness of the night, Noko was overcome by a mix of emotions, a little sad, a little unsure, and even a little jealous. "How could this be?" he grumbled to himself in disbelief. "Now I'm not going to be able to spend much time with Mommy and Daddy, playing off to school in the forest together. By playing together, Daddy teaches me valuable skills I need as a growing boy, such as foraging for roots and other treats from the forest and farmland. Now he is going to be too busy with this new baby porcupine and not have any time for me, and I'm going to have to share my room in the burrow with a baby." Unbeknownst to him, his friend Inyoka, the African rock python, was slithering near to where Noko was and had overheard what Noko was saying. "What's the matter, dear Noko?" Inyoka lisped inquisitively as he sailed around Noko. At first Noko was startled by Inyoka, as he thought he was alone. Then, without warning, Noko's little quills rose quickly into the shape of a crest, making him look even bigger and scarier as he bellowed out, "What are you doing here, Inyoka? Why are you listening in on me?" Before Inyoka could reply, Noko started to shake with anger, and his quills started to rattle, making a loud noise which seemed to be a warning, truly frightening Inyoka. As his friend Inyoka was trying to understand what was bothering Noko so much, but before he could ask him another question, Noko's quills started shooting out at him. "Ow, ow, ow!" Inyoka exclaimed as Noko's quills pierced his scaly skin. "Why are you hurting me, Noko? I am your friend," Inyoka cried out. As the quills continued shooting in his direction, Inyoka had no option but to quickly retreat to get far away from the sharp pain. Back at Nature's Night School, Mabudu the art wolf, Kalobe the warthog, and Nkwe the leopard cub were all waiting impatiently for Inyoka and Noko to arrive so they could start their evening class. "I wonder what's keeping our two buddies. Class is about to begin," grunted Kalobe. Just as she finished her sentence, in slithered Inyoka, looking sad, tired, and very uncomfortable. "Where have you been?" inquired the group in unison. With his eyes cast down, Inyoka told them that he had come across Noko in the forest on his way to school, and that the porcupine seemed very unhappy. Inyoka continued to explain to his friends, "When I tried to understand what was bothering him, he rattled with anger and some of his quills shot out at me, impaling my skin, and it hurts." Inyoka turned around to show them the sharp quills in his side. Kalobe, Nkwe, and Mabudu were stunned. "That doesn't sound like Noko," said Nkwe in disbelief. "Something must be really bothering him for this to happen, because he has such a kind heart and truly cares for his friends." He proceeded as Mabudu gently tried to remove the quills from Inyoka's side. Back in the woods, Noko was still roaming around, thinking about the news he'd just been given, when suddenly he realized that he had to be at school, and he was late. He quickly shook off the dust and leaves that his little quills had picked up when they were sharply raised, and he scurried through the bushveld to get to class. Upon arrival at school, all of his friends were waiting for him in the courtyard, bearing concerned yet puzzled looks on their faces. Shy and Mabudu plucked up his courage and bravely stepped forward as Noko approached them. When Noko saw Mabudu step forward, he realized that something was amiss, as Mabudu rarely took the lead in their group. Noko also saw his friend Nyoka curled up in pain behind his other friends and realized that Mabudu was about to address his poor behavior towards the snake. Noko slowly lowered his head in shame, unable to look his friend in the eye. Noko, Mabudu started, you are our friend and we all love you very much. This is why I come to you, to try to understand what happened in the forest with you and Nyoka. Noko took a deep breath and began to explain to his friends that he had just heard that his parents were about to have another baby porcupine, and that this really shocked him. This also let him feel all sorts of emotions, all of which Noko was trying to make sense of while he was in the forest. Noko apologetically continued, I thought I was all alone in the forest when suddenly Nyoka was behind me and startled me with his curious question. I was not expecting anyone to be near me, let alone hear my uttered frustrations, and before I knew it, my quills rose quickly and I couldn't stop myself from shaking. I know Nyoka meant well, but I was so caught up with these mixed feelings within me that shortly after my quills rose, I struggled to keep them from shooting out at anyone close to me. I truly did not mean for my friend to get hurt, Noko confessed, with big, glossy tears welling up in his little eyes. Mabudu sensed that Noko was being sincere and turned to look at his friends behind him, beckoning them to come forward, including Nyoka. One by one, each of his friends came closer to Noko until they all surrounded him, reaching out their little paws. Nyoka also came forward and wrapped his prickled tail around them all, embracing Noko with a loving group hug. Noko, Nkwe purred, thank you for sharing your feelings with us, as we didn't understand why you had lashed out at our friend Nyoka with your sharp quills. We know you have a good heart and that you wouldn't ever do anything to hurt anyone intentionally. Noko managed to lift his furry head to look at each of his friends and said, Thank you for being patient with me. It means so much to me that you tried to understand me better first instead of scolding me or even ignoring me. You truly are dear friends indeed, and I appreciate you all so much. A few sunrises and sunsets passed, and Noko was feeling more settled with the expectation of his new sibling. Mama and Papa Porcupine spent extra time with him, explaining that as a big brother, he would have a very important role in helping his parents take care of their new baby, and that he would always be deeply loved and very special to them. Not long afterwards, Noko and his friends had just finished class at Nature's Night School and were playing in the dusty courtyard when in burst another dear friend of theirs, Tiny Torrentole, out of breath and with her spotted feathers all ruffled. Noko, she sputtered, quick, 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 you have to hurry back to the burrow as your family needs you now. Noko was ever so puzzled, yet he trusted Tiny Torrentole and dashed off into the forest as fast as little legs could carry him, forgetting to say goodbye to the others. Back at the burrow, Mr. and Mrs. Porcupine were waiting anxiously for their young son to come home from school, as while Noko was away, his proud parents had unexpectedly welcomed their little baby girl into the world. A few short moments later, in rushed Noko through the burrow entrance. He was pleasantly surprised by the smiles of his parents, along with the gurgling sounds of his new baby sister. Wow, Noko thought to himself, she looks so small and sweet, ever so precious. Before he could say anything, Mr. Porcupine came up to Noko and put his proud paw on his son's shoulder. Son, you are our baby girl's big brother now, and she is going to need her wise brother to help teach her those skills we learnt in the woods together. Are you up for this adventure? Without hesitation, Noko squealed with delight. Absolutely, Dad. This is my duty. As with this, Noko scampered over to his sister's crib and whispered in her ear, Welcome, little sister. I am Noko, your big brother, and I will make sure you grow up strong like me. I will protect you here in the Mpumalanga bushveld. Here's an example of some exciting activities you can find at the end of this book.